Should we start? Okay, so good evening. Yes. So what do you see in the newspaper today? Anything good? Okay, if anyone tells me what is important on first page, we will name them for Nobel Peace Prize with Trump. Yes, anything? Oh, nice ringtone, huh? Yes, anything important, yes?
India got Pakistan
to his knees within hours. Nice statement, huh? We all like this statement. We don't write this statement in the answers, but we like it. Anything important in this? India brought Pak to his knees. That we did when this Bangladesh war took place for sure. This time, yes or no, we have to see. But nothing concrete, right? So first page, I don't find anything important. And as far as these editorials are concerned, more or less we covered most of these things. Gaza war we covered, Trump part we covered. This Tamil Nadu example, not so important for exam. Bihar electoral roll, this also we had covered. So we'll simply head towards other topics. One news quite important for the present time is India-ASEAN. India and ASEAN, they are trying to review free trade agreement. Review we said. We did not say we are going for free trade agreement. We are saying we are reviewing. We review when we already have free trade agreement. Right, so we already had this agreement with ASEAN countries. Now we are reviewing it because we have some problem with it. That's why we are reviewing. Okay, first of all, ASEAN countries. What is ASEAN? Southeast Asia. What is the long form of ASEAN? Very good. Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Right, ASEAN. So this includes all these Southeast Asian countries. India is in Southeast Asia or which part? South Asia. Right, this is entire Asia. South part is South Asia. India, Pakistan, Nepal are part of that. If you go to southeastern part, then you have these countries like Singapore, Indonesia, Cambodia, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines, Brunei, etc. Right? These countries, they have formed this group called ASEAN. So earlier I had discussed about it, wherein I tried to compare it with even European Union. Just like European Union, they have come together so that they have some bargaining power with any other external player. They get some bargaining power. So right now India is even discussing free trade agreement with European Union. We're not discussing it with only France or only Germany, entire European Union. Similarly, we are not going for FTA with just one single country over here, but entire group. Okay? And when you take this entire group, when you count their GDP also, they become very strong, I said. Right? Like they become equivalent to India, their GDP, when they are combined. Singularly, they are not so important. Okay? Now, first of all, we had gone for this trade agreement. Free trade agreement in goods only, not services or investments. Earlier we said only in goods. Later on we started talking about services and investment part also. So initially this free trade agreement came in the year 2009 and it started its implementation in 2010. So it included all these 10 countries of ASEAN and India. Okay, the name is very important. India-ASEAN Trade in Goods Agreement, because only goods was part of it. That's why this name is there. Okay. Now, just like any other free trade agreement, what happens in free trade agreement normally? What do we do when we go for free trade agreement with any country? What do we really do normally? No tariffs? No tariffs, rather we say zero tariff or very low tariff. On most of the products, most of the goods that we are sending to them or they are sending to us, we try to reduce the tariff or reduce the tax, right? That's what we did over here also. So first of all, reduction in the tariff. So almost like they're saying elimination or reduction on 80% of the products. So very good. Good, it's like somewhat free trade we can say. Then there was an exclusion list for the protection of some products. So this happens whenever we go for free trade agreement. Even when we are having a talk with USA, India is saying we are not going to open up agriculture sector for you, farmers or dairy product sector, because we are concerned about these products, we are concerned about Indian producers. So in case of FTA with ASEAN also, there are some products where we did not allow, we did not go for complete free trade. Okay, so there is one list which we call as exclusion list, that we are not considering these sectors for sure, or these products we will not have free trade or lesser tariff as such. Okay, then the most controversial thing over here is this third one, that is rules of origin. What do you understand by rules of origin? When a product is made, let's say, see, there is free trade agreement between two countries. Let's say this is Malaysia, this is India. Free trade agreement, you can send any product from India to Malaysia and there will be very less tariff. Let's assume it's 0. Okay, same Malaysia can send any package to India, 0 tariff, right? Can China send direct the package to India with 0 tariff? No. But let's say Malaysia has free trade agreement with China also. Now what will happen? China will send its product to Malaysia and through Malaysia it will send it to India. So even if we have put 50% tariff on China, through this route the same product will come to India with 0% tariff, and as usual China will dump. Yes, this will happen. So there comes this role of something called as rules of origin. When we say rules of origin, India is interested in knowing the origin of the product. India wants to be very strict on this because India knows very well that China is going to use these countries as proxies to go for trade with India. Yes? So we want that strictly, whatever products we are importing from you, importing from whom? Importing from ASEAN. This rules of origin should be very clear. It should be originating from your countries only and not other country like China. That's a completely controversial stuff where we have problem with the free trade agreement we have with ASEAN. Okay? Then there are some safeguard mechanism, dispute settlement mechanisms. Whenever we go for free trade agreement, there's a possibility that after some time we might come up with some dispute between the two parties. So you should have someone to sort it out, right? You can't rely on the traditional judiciary. You need some mechanism because two countries are involved. Okay, so all these things are done in this case also. Now see what happened. Now what happened is something we call as the problem of trade deficit. Now that's the same problem you will observe in case of Trump. What Trump is saying and what India is saying, you will see that more or less it seems the same. What Trump is saying to India or other countries, why Trump is putting tariff on India? What is the logic he is giving? Russia is something he said just recently. Before elections, before this Russia-Ukraine thing and talking about India, he talked about putting tariff on most of the countries. Why? He didn't put just on India, no, tariff, he put on so many countries. The logic is, when USA has trade with any other country, USA with any country, okay, the point is, there will be some export, there will be some import. USA observes that import in USA is more and export is less. If this is the scene, what will happen? There will be trade deficit for USA. They will export less and they will import more. See, if you want to export more to any other country, let's say USA wants to export more to India. For that, India's market should be very open for USA, which we are not doing for many sectors like agriculture, dairy, I said, we are not opening up. That's why he's putting pressure. Otherwise, what he's saying, if you don't, then our imports are more. Always we see trade deficit. More or less what happens is, whatever trade between India and USA is taking place, India is earning more. And Trump is saying, we want to earn more. Why would you earn more? Or let's have a balanced trade. $100 billion you buy, $100 billion we will buy. Equal. Getting the point. That's what Trump is saying. Logical from a nationalist perspective to some extent, right? That trade deficit is a problem. Lot of import is a problem for USA. Now see, the same thing we are doing with ASEAN now. We did this free trade agreement. We thought free trade agreement will lead to very good things, that there will be lot of trade, lot of good things will happen. Certainly trade increased, but trade increased in this way. Export increased, import also increased. Is it a good thing? You were having a trade with your friend. Okay, earlier you were having trade of 1 lakh rupees. Okay, now the trade size has increased, I am saying. Now the trade size is of 10 lakhs. Export also increased and import also increased, both increased. Overall trade size has increased. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Hey, there should be confidence, whatever you say, even if it is wrong. Huh? Good thing. Yes, it's a good thing. Your trade size is increasing. At least trade size increases, it shows a good sign, right? At least your export is increasing. You can't deny that. Import is also increasing. That means you have substantial consumption in your country. Although it's not a good thing if import is more and export is less. That's not a good thing. But overall trade is increasing, which is a good thing. Your size is increasing, that shows, right? Bad thing is export increased this much, import increased this much. This is a problem. India's experience with free trade has been of this kind, wherein we have, most of the time we have faced this issue, that overall trade increased, but always export was always less than import. Import was always more, especially in case of ASEAN. So whatever Trump did with us, we are somehow doing with ASEAN. We are also saying the same thing. See, there is so much trade deficit, we don't like this FTA. He was saying the same thing, right? So see this data. 2017-18 data. India's export to ASEAN, $34 billion. Our export to ASEAN. Our import from ASEAN, 47 billion. So trade deficit is somewhere around $12 billion, right? Now see the recent data, 24-25. Our export is 39 billion. So from 34 to 39, export increased. Yes. Import, it was 47, now it has become 84 billion. And that's why trade deficit is $45 billion. So you have to pay from your pockets $45 billion extra. So there you feel that pain. But overall you see trade has also increased, which is a good thing, right? So this trade deficit is a problem. This is the major thing that we are finding problematic. And India is concerned again about this rules of origin stuff. India is concerned that China is using these ASEAN countries, and through that route China is sending its products to India and dumping in India, because manufacturing cost in China is very low and they can sell something at very low cost as compared to what is being sold in India. Okay, so something that let's say this phone costs 30,000 in India. You buy from any seller, this kind of phone, the features this phone provides will be available in 34,000. Rather than phone, you think about anything like a normal pen or any small stuff. China can reduce the price very substantially, and no other producer will be able to do it. So their products will be dumped in the market, and all your producers, their business will be destroyed completely, right? So we try to ensure that this does not happen. That's why we put whatever tariff we need on China. But this ASEAN route is a problematic thing for us. That's why we want ensure this thing, rules of origin, very strictly. So what we are doing right now, we have agreed for reviewing this free trade agreement. We will review, we will have negotiation, just like Trump is having negotiation. The only difference is Trump is being he's being very aggressive and he's speaking out the things. We're not speaking out that way. We're just politely, diplomatically trying to do these things. But whatever is happening is more or less the similar thing. Clear? We want good deal in our favor. Trump wants good deal in his favor. Simple. Okay? So they are saying in 2019 they agreed for this review, and there's a deadline that by end of 2025 they'll be reviewing and they will continue with this free trade deal. Clear? Now this also comes into picture when there was a discussion on something called as RCEP. Especially At the time of COVID, this RCEP was in news a lot. So even Modi ji went for signing the RCEP, but then he decided, I'll not sign it. He came back. Now this RCEP includes regional, what is the long form, I don't remember, I think Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. So it's a group, free trade agreement group of some countries, or regional grouping you can say. This included ASEAN countries, all the 10 countries of ASEAN, plus some big countries like India, China, New Zealand, Japan, such countries. I think South Korea was there or not, I don't remember, but such countries were part of it. That was the plan, that we will make a free trade agreement between these countries. This was the regional bloc to be created that was being thought of. Again, the problem was the same, this rules of origin part. Now there was China, that was a problem for us, because again, now if you go for RCEP, then all the goods will directly come to India. That was problematic. ASEAN wanted India to be part of it because otherwise China will dominate a lot. Even Japan wanted that India to be part of it. Yes, India was concerned about this dimension. India was also concerned about its dairy products and agriculture at that time also, because if New Zealand comes into picture, New Zealand is very good with this milk products and all. So again, that was problematic. So there was immense pressure from domestic part from India, and also there was pressure from America also. So overall India said, you are not accepting. India demanded few things for which they didn't accept. So India said, right now we will not sign, maybe in future we'll think about it. Okay. Now in all of this, whether it is the free trade agreement only with ASEAN or it is RCEP, what comes into picture is the role of ASEAN overall. Now is ASEAN very, very important or is not that important for us? What do you feel about ASEAN? Very, very important, or averagely important, or not so important, irrelevant? Important for what? For economy? Yes? We are trying to have good economic relations with someone who is also almost equally economically strong. They are also developing economies. Yes, there are emerging countries over there, just like India is an emerging economy. There's Indonesia who is emerging. Singapore is also good. So yes, they are also economically at good position. What else? Influence of China on what? All these countries are neighbors of China, and we are also neighbor of China. There is influence of China, you will say, but you look at the entire group. We have something common. That common is China again. China is a problem for us also and them also. Okay, trade wise also they are important. They are your immediate neighbors. First of all, ASEAN is our direct neighbor. How? We don't share border with Malaysia. How come they are direct neighbors? Huh? Maritime boundary. No, there is land boundary. Okay, let me check. So if I'm not wrong, this is a country called Myanmar, which directly shares border with India. Am I right or wrong? Yes. So look at maps first. They're direct neighbors. At least Myanmar is direct neighbor. Yes. And because these groupings, this ASEAN as a grouping is important, there will be substantial influence of ASEAN on Myanmar also. If there is a conflict in Myanmar, if there is some problem in Myanmar, let's say some refugees coming from Myanmar to India. Any example? Rohingyas, very good. So army of Myanmar, they started killing some people, those people flew, and what they did, they came to India, some gone to Bangladesh. Now what India should do or what Bangladesh should do? So many people, right? Now we have to talk to Myanmar, or we can talk to ASEAN also. Overall we can put some pressure if we want to. So Myanmar quite important for our security, our national security, border security. So overall role of ASEAN will come into picture. Second thing, after this incident of collapse of USSR, when this happened? In the year 1990, 91 if I'm not wrong. USSR was our best friend, right? We were having all the good relations with USSR, but then suddenly USSR collapsed. Now you have no friends. You invested so much on one person and she left. Now what to do? Now you go and find out friends. So we started finding friends. That time we came with this policy, actist policy or lookist. At that time the term was lookist. First you will find out, then you will act. Na? So when you go for lookist policy or then its new version as actist policy, this ASEAN becomes an important segment. We needed someone who is a good trade partner. We need someone with whom we can go for some defense partnership. Now we found out one friend. ASEAN is a good friend. We can go for it. So when we talk about our foreign policy, specifically actist policy, ASEAN very, very important strategically, security wise, defense wise, and economically also, it is the 4th largest trading partner for India. And overall, what is going on in the geopolitical terms? US-China rivalry, that is happening. And the center of gravity of entire world earlier was in Atlantic, because all the powerful countries were there nearby Atlantic. USA, Britain, France, all these countries were located there. World's maximum trade was happening in that area. Now what is happening? That balance is shifting from Atlantic to Indo-Pacific. World's most powerful economies and powerful countries now which are emerging, by that logic it will not be Atlantic, it will be Indo-Pacific region. Countries of Pacific and Indian Ocean. So China, India, Russia, America, these are the countries. You see Indonesia also from here. Such countries are the powerful regions. Within few years you will observe that maximum trade of the world will happen only in the Indo-Pacific region and not Atlantic. Okay, so we say in geopolitics the gravity is shifting from Atlantic to Indo-Pacific region. And in the Indo-Pacific region we observe that China is not ready to follow the rules which are already there. The rules which are built through the earlier world order that we call as liberal international world order, which was created through United Nations, WTO, all these things. It's an order created, which was led by whom? Which country? USA, very good. USA led this. These rules were made by all the countries together, but these were led by USA, and all these rules are based on the philosophy of liberalism, liberal things, liberal international world order, that's why we call it. What China is doing, China is not accepting it. Now when the power is shifting towards Indo-Pacific and entire West wants that the same rules should continue here, and because China is so powerful, China is saying I will not accept it. So there is a conflict. If you ask India, does India want that the same liberal international world order should continue? India will say yes, same should continue. Same rules of this WTO, United Nations, UN clause treaty, everything should continue. China will say no. China is powerful, that's why he can do whatever he wants, right? Simple. If you ask ASEAN, they will also say the same thing. Now once I had said one thing, that between India and China, if you ask China what kind of order you want in Asia, China will say entire Asia should be dominated by me. India will say we want multipolar world order, multiple poles, we don't want any one dominating, neither USA nor China, no other country, multipolar, 1 pole, 2 poles, 3 poles, we are also one small pole. You ask the same thing to the ASEAN, they will also say the same thing. We want multipolar world order, we want multilateralism, all these things. So the point is, value wise, strategic thinking wise, foreign policy wise, we have so much common with ASEAN. We also want to counter China, ASEAN also wants to counter China. We also want to counter America, we don't want that America should dominate. Same is the thinking for them. Getting the point? So that's why this ASEAN as a group is very important for India. And as far as economy part is concerned, this FTA is being reviewed. Clear? Any doubt? No? Good. Another news specifically from Gujarat. India has set an example in lion conservation. What do you think? Is it very important? Average? Lion? Important? Are you sure? That too we are talking about specific lion, that is Asiatic lion. Do you think they will ask about Asiatic lion and all? They ask about elephant also. So they can ask about lion also. No problem. Now, Asiatic lion. This species of lion, this is present only in India right now. This is, you will not find this species anywhere, which is called Asiatic. Now, we don't call it Indian lion, we specifically called it Asiatic lion. So there are two species. One is African lion, which is quite famous. One is Asiatic. You see the basic difference? Not much, but basic difference is certainly there. If you go in details, this Asiatic lion will have relatively smaller size as compared to the African one. Okay, and this hairy part which called as mane. For this African lion, this mane part is very dense. Relatively with Asiatic lions, it is not so dense, we can say. Now their behavior is also relatively different. Now these lions, they live in something called pride. Pride is like their own family, you can say, in which there are 2-3 partners, 2-3 females, okay, and the kids, and there's one lion. Okay, so this is how they live. So in case of Asiatic lion, we say that the pride is very small, 2-3 females only. In case of African, 4-6 females. Polygamy culture is quite common over here, which we don't see here in Indian human species. And look at their habitat. Dry deciduous forest and scrubland in case of Asiatic lion, and savanna, shrubland and desert area in Africa. This is something you will have to remember. There's no way. What you should know further is the IUCN status. Sometimes people get confused what is the IUCN status for this species. For African as well as Asiatic lion, the IUCN status is vulnerable category. See, earlier it was not vulnerable. Earlier it was endangered. In 2008, it was considered as endangered. Later on in 2025, it was changed to vulnerable status. So it's easy now that both are vulnerable. We can remember that. Okay? Now, see this part. This Asiatic lion, it has this scientific name Panthera leucopacea, which you can remember, or let's say just read it once. Most probably they'll not ask, but just read it. The point is, where do we find this species? So if you look at the area of India, specifically the area of Gujarat, from there till the Iran, that was the area where we used to find this kind of Asiatic lion. But right now it has got extinct from most of the area, and it is only the Gir National Park in Gujarat where we find this kind of species. Okay, so Gir National Park is something you should remember, which is in Gujarat region. Clear? Now, what has happened recently? Recently, we have come up with this census. Our census is not yet done, but lion census is done. And through that census, we got to know that the number of Asiatic lion has got increased substantially. So you see the population in the year 2020, it was 674, and right now it is 891. So you see 32% increase in the number of Asiatic lions. It's a good achievement, we can say, certainly, because first of all, this species is available only in India, and then we are protecting it in such a way that numbers are increasing. So good thing. Almost all the credit for this conservation and these increasing numbers is being given to something called as Project Lion, which was started by Government of India. So we should know just the basic part about this Project Lion. It was launched in the year 2020, 15th August by Prime Minister Modi, and the plan was to conserve this particular species in the span of next 10 years. So for that, whatever funding is needed, whatever monitoring has to be done, whatever action has to be taken at the local level in that Gir National Park, all was being done. Okay, and for that, what we needed was one agency, Gujarat Forest Department, our central ministry, and then this Central Zoo Authority and some NGOs. All of them worked together for this Project Lion. Now, apart from Project Lion, we also have some other projects or initiative brought by government. For example, Asiatic Lion Conservation Project, Greater Gir concept. Greater Gir means instead of looking at just Gir National Park, let's look at the bigger park. Okay, let the population increase and expand to this region. Okay, this is the idea of Greater Gir concept. So they increased these areas also. Then Barda Wildlife Sanctuary Plan, protection mechanisms like this Wildlife Crime Cell, Greater Gir Task Force, GPS collars, camera traps, all these. This means it shows very clearly that government has brought so many initiatives, they made so many forces, they brought technology aspect also, all things, all areas in which they could work, they tried to do. And at the international level also, there is this alliance called as International Big Cat Alliance. So when you talk about big cat, it includes all those species like the leopard species or tiger or this lion. All these will be part of this big cat. So there we have this Big Cat Alliance, which was launched by India. Then World Lion Day is also celebrated. All these things combined, plus the major thing, that is Project Lion. All these combined have led to this result, is something we can say. Yes? Good news, bad news? Very good news. We don't expect government to work so efficiently, right? Next, new rules on chemically contaminated sites. Now just recently we had studied about groundwater contamination, right? We discussed all those contaminating pollutants like uranium, fluoride, etc., right? Now here in this case, what we are talking about specifically is chemically contaminated sites. So there are some areas, when we say sites, some areas where lot of waste products are being dumped. This happens. So when you are dumping lot of waste material, and in that waste material there are some chemicals which are very harmful. That chemical can affect the soil, affect that area, right? So we are concerned about such chemically contaminated sites. We are concerned about those areas, those dump sites. For that, some rules have been notified. Who notified? It is the Ministry of Environment. So we have this Environment Protection Act made by Parliament. Under this act we are making rules. That is the power of ministry who can make those rules. So under this act they are making these rules, and they have named it Environment Protection Management of Contaminated Sites Rules 2025. Okay. Now nothing such a big deal in this, just the way they come up with any kinds of rules, these rules are there. Just for the sake of example, you should know that okay, such rules are being established. So for example, first of all they defined, because it's about contaminated sites, so in the rules they have clearly defined what do we mean by contaminated site. So it's defined by this Central Pollution Control Board. They said historic hazardous waste dump or handling sites causing likely contamination of soil, groundwater, surface water. Overall nothing new, a normal definition they have put in, which includes all of this: dumps, spill sites, storage, treatment yards, etc., etc., etc. Okay. First thing is the definition, because with definition you will come to know what all areas where these rules will become applicable. Okay. So they identified total 103 sites in throughout India where they find that there is chemical contamination of the area. Okay, 103 sites identified using the same definition. Now after that, what they say, who is going to take action in this particular case? So it is the responsibility first of the district administration. What the district administration will do? They will come up with one particular report half yearly, means almost every 6 months district administration will have to give report. This report will reach out to the state board or state organization, and state organization has complete responsibility that you have to take some action in 90 days. So in 90 days they will first investigate the case, they will come up with whatever evidence is needed, everything they will do. And if a site is contaminated with some chemical, you have to remove that contamination, you have to go for some remediation plan, remove that chemical contamination. And for that, you need money also. What you will do? It is your responsibility to take or collect money from those people because of whom this contamination happened. So let's say because of one particular company, this contamination happened. They dumped their waste material over here, because of which this happened. So we have this one principle called as polluter pays principle, which we discussed earlier. One who pollutes, he should pay. That's the same idea applied over here. So district administration gave the report with 6 months, 6-month duration is the time they have to give. It reaches to the state level, and at state level it is being handled. In 90 days they have to investigate and then even get the money and get it sorted out. Getting the point? Now here again later on comes the role of central government. Central government is not directly involving in this matter. They are just going for oversight. They'll just see what is happening, if things are going right or not. In case this polluter is not ready to pay, if there is problem in terms of recovery, in that case central government will come in and central government will clean up. That cleaning part whichever is needed, that will be done or that will be helped by central government. Okay? So that's the overall plan in these rules. You see, liability clause, cost recovery from the polluter, and criminal liability under this Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita in case if death or injury is caused. So if you have just dumped, only contamination is done, maybe there will be some fine. If someone has died, something happened to someone, then there will be a criminal case against you. Okay? Then they have given some exemption also. For some sites, they are not putting these rules. So it includes radioactive contamination, mining contamination, oil pollution of the sea, and solid waste from the municipal dump sites. Now few of them for which there are different rules altogether. For example, for this solid waste management, there are separate rules. Radioactive is a different stuff for which different set of rules are needed. So they have kept these stuffs aside. Okay? Clear? So that's all. That's all. Significance, nothing new. You people can understand. Time bound, yes, something. They have put this 90 days tag, right? So time bound action they are expecting, which is a good thing. Transparency is there, and this polluter pays principle, which we discussed already. So that's all about this topic. Any doubt? Yes? So we discussed three. One we discussed about ASEAN. One we discussed about Asiatic lion. And third we discussed about these rules. Clear? No doubts? Okay then, thank you so much.